Hello and welcome to this special broadcast with me, Ashmit Kumar, on CNBC-TV18. And one aspect that the pandemic taught us is supply chain management, making it more resilient, making it more efficient. Now, it is in this context that I'm in conversation with Mr. Ashwani Narang. He is the Vice President of Intelligence Spend and Business Network at SAP India. Mr. Narang, thank you so much for joining us. One aspect, one term that my colleagues in the auto space use about engine capacity and about cars is that there is no replacement for displacement. I couldn't find anything catchy, as catchy as that, but supply chain symphony, I think that's something that comes close. So let's discuss that. Let's discuss this symphony when you're talking about supply chain management, supply chain symphony. What does that mean in context of total spend management? What does that translate into for the layman?
No, Ashmit, thank you very much for coming and thank you for spending time. My pleasure to be speaking to you. The symphony, I believe, is playing out quite loud right now, not only in India but globally. And you rightly said, I think it is very closely associated with the acronym, and we call it Intelligence Spend and Business Network, or Total Spend Management, like you call it. Now, if you look at it, these used to be siloed business, say 5 to 7 years ago for SAP. You are talking about product lines which used to exist very differently. But when I'm talking to you today, it's all under one umbrella, and it is called ISBN. So anything where you're spending money in your organization is basically sitting under one roof of ISBN. So for example, if you're taking a flight from Mumbai to Delhi today, and if you're doing an expense on the employee, or for that matter, if you're buying certain direct material or services or indirect material from your suppliers, or for that matter, if you have a services contract or a contingent labor contract with any organization out there, or for that matter, your accounts payable, what they do today is they clear your bill, but can you turn them into a profit center instead of a cost center? Now, all of these areas where we spend a lot of money is basically sitting under the umbrella of ISBN as of today. Sure. So all the aspects around supply chain, procurement, employee expense, supply chain financing, for that matter, that's the amalgamation which SAP has done, and we are very uniquely placed in the market with the length, breadth and depth of the solution what we entail back to the customer. So that's giving a lot of benefits back to the customer.
Well, it's interesting you point out those benefits, and let me ask you in context of those benefits, that when you look at the Indian market, what does the scale and scope of opportunity look like, especially in context of making this spend management smarter? What do the scale of opportunities in India look like to you?
So that's a great question, and there was this report by Franklin Templeton which said, and this was in February this year, which said that we are right at the bottom of an index, and sometimes I believe it's great to be at the bottom of an index. And that report said,
headroom.
There you go. And that report said, what is the probability of recession in a country? And we are right at the bottom with 0%. There's a recent report by Capgemini which said they interviewed around 1,300 large corporations, and they asked them about the supply chain rejig, and that's a big supply chain rejig which is happening. So around 65% of these organizations said that in the next 3 years, they're going to spend more than 50% on expansion.
Wow.
And therefore, what it means is India is going to get a lot of work. Now, when a lot of supply chain procurement transformation is happening in the country, it is not limited to the MSMEs, it is not limited to the large enterprises, but also covering the government sector as well. Now, look at the scheme which came out from Make in India, where you were basically a net importer of mobile phones. Now we have converted to a net exporter of mobile phones, and therefore a lot of these supplier setup have to take place in the country. If you look at Ola, they are one of our customers, by the way. And 3 days ago, the founder came in and he showed the cell, which they have already announced from the Gigafactory. Now, what it means is you need that entire ecosystem of suppliers, of your business partners as well.
Sure.
And therefore, while the government is trying its bit from a Digital India, Make in India, Skill India perspective, the onus is also on companies like SAP to ensure that we equip our customers with a lot of tools and functionalities to help them achieve what they're trying to. So if you ask me, we probably are one of those businesses as of today in SAP, which is having a lot of pull in the market. Their companies are coming in and asking us, can you come and help us in my procurement transformation, in my supply chain transformation, in my contingent labor transformation, in my accounts payable transformation, in my contract transformation. Can you make me a big mall within my company itself where people come and just like an Amazon experience, they immediately order what they want to from a catalog, and that's where the Gen Z is also changing the mindset, and that's where the pull is coming in. So in a day I would be speaking to 3 customers as opposed to 5 years ago before COVID, when supply chain procurement used to be a backbencher's job in the mind of the CEO. We are right next to the CEO now, ensuring that we produce those products which he wants to sell. So therefore I would say the opportunity is huge. The government is also coming out with schemes, and we are getting enough pull in the market to go and innovate with them.
When we talk of more manufacturing coming to India, the component ecosystem, you mentioned mobile phones, they're trying to bring the mobile component ecosystem here to India. So in trying to address this entire ecosystem of manufacturers, OEMs, as well as suppliers and component manufacturers, what to your mind is your vision and roadmap for the Indian market?
That's a great question again, and Ashmit, it's very easy for me to go out of this room and connect with you on LinkedIn. But what is the LinkedIn between you and your supplier? Do you have a LinkedIn in your organization for your supplier? Why is the supplier calling me when I send him a new design and he wants to understand 10, 20, 30 things in that particular drawing? To ask those questions, why it can't be a real-time dynamic interface between me and my supplier? For that matter, he has sent a truck from his factory and it is going to reach my factory, and I'm continuously calling him, where's the truck, where's the truck? Why don't I have a location tracer, or for that matter track and trace capabilities in my system? Or if you're looking at contract manufacturing, you picked it up. If I'm doing a lot of contract manufacturing with my supplier, it's white labeling of goods, and what it essentially means is they need to have the right components at the right time, of right quality, to ensure that when it reaches, the product reaches, the finished good reaches my premise, it is the right product which I want to sell. So when it happens, the onus on technology becomes large, because then I'm talking about real time collaboration or exchange of information between me and my business partners. So when you say, what we have done is we have produced the world's largest B2B network, which is called the SAP Business Network on planet Earth. And when you look at the value of commerce which we do on this business network, it's $5.9 trillion in a year, which is in perspective equal to India and Australia GDP combined, or it is equal to Alibaba plus eBay plus Amazon into 2. That's the kind of commerce we do. And out of this, if you look at it, what I'm proud to tell you here is there are about 7 million suppliers on the network, and India is the largest contributor. Around 20% of that supplier base comes from India. And we are doing close to $500 billion of transaction on this network for companies which have set up in India, which could be local or MNCs. Now that is 11% of India's GDP. So what we are doing is we are already contributing to that supply chain transformation, or bringing in that collaboration or resilience or agility into the system, and we will continue to do that by having a lot of AI which will be coming in, and there are use cases which have already delivered. So that's how we are participating in the growth story.
You've given me the cue for the very next question, which is about integration of AI. You've given us big numbers. You're talking about $500 billion worth of transactions here as far as the Indian market alone is concerned, nearly 6 trillion globally. In trying to take this growth to the next level in terms of adding that exponential element, how is integration of AI looking for you? Gen AI takes all the headlines, but what I'm being told is that it's the AI integration in business efficiency where the actual profit lies, where the actual growth perspective lies. Your take on integration of AI?
So look, if you look at the human population across the globe, it's declining. I believe 2030 is going to be the first year where we would start to see that dip. Okay, so what it essentially means is we will be at loss of words, loss of people is going to be there in the market. Now what it essentially means is AI is going to be inevitable. You are going to have AI in your system, and I believe we are cognizant of that fact, and we have an obligation to our customers, to the government, to ensure that we provide that efficiency, and you use that word. Now let me ask you this question. Tomorrow if you want to hire a journalist, you write a JD, right? But why do I write a JD now? Because I can tell my system to write a JD for me. And that is what we have delivered in the market already. And therefore, there are certain initiatives we have taken. For example, if you go to a Blinkit or a Grofers app, and if you're trying to buy something from there, it remembers your behavior. That you're a person who would come in and generally would order these kind of things. So it might show you like a catalog kit saying these are 6 items generally you order together. Why can't I do it in my organization? And therefore we have developed those AI cases wherein I know your behavior as a user, and you come into the system, and when you order, just like an Amazon experience, the same thing will be given by SAP, and we call it guided buying, and you go in there and the system can read your behavior and tell you. And this is where AI comes right there at the center. So while it brings efficiency into the system, it is future looking, and it doesn't end there, because we have delivered around 12 use cases of AI already in the market across ISBN, across SAP. It's huge number, but we would continue to deliver AI use cases as well. And in the same breath, I'm happy to tell you that SAP launched its Copilot, which is Joule, okay, which is generative AI engineering behind this, and that is going to be available across the entire suite of SAP products to help you in doing jobs where you can bring in that efficiency which you talked about.
You alluded to one aspect, and I just want to build on that. You mentioned how there are a lot of uncertainties in the times that we live. There's a case of conflict, whether that's Ukraine, that's Middle East, also about electoral outcomes, uncertainty. US is yet to go to the elections. When will the Fed start relaxing the rates? A lot of questions being asked, a lot of uncertainty. The question I want to ask you is that these uncertainties often come as a headwind to most companies. Does it serve as a tailwind for you in making a stronger case for perhaps bringing in smarter solutions for management, spend solutions?
I would say that we look at it very cautiously. Probably for us, it's not about headwind and tailwind. For us, it's about helping our customers achieve their objective. Now, in the same breath, a company could be having a headwind in US, but the same company is having tailwind in India, because let's say the geopolitical directions are different. For that matter, if they're in Israel right now, it's a very different story altogether. So to us, I believe it's an opportunity or a blessing in disguise to go and help these companies. So when you say that COVID happened, for example, what SAP did, the business network, they opened it for every supplier globally. And what they basically allowed them, without paying a single penny on the business network, you come in and you tell the entire world that you can supply hand sanitizers, you can supply cotton swabs, you can supply oximeters, you can supply other medical equipments. And the customers then would not go out in the market to find out these suppliers. It was available on the click of a button, and they would know there are 50 suppliers across the globe who are manufacturing this particular item which I want to buy, and maybe at a particular price which is justified. I can pick it up from supplier A, supplier B, because my supplier might be under shutdown in India. And therefore what happens is, it becomes very important for SAP as a company, and be obligated to help our customers, wherever required, in the adverse timings or in the best of the timings.
Also help us understand in terms of the sectoral split, where is the demand coming to you from? Is it from the private sector? Is it from PSUs? Is it from large companies? Is it from small and medium enterprises? Where is the demand coming from?
So I would say that, in simple terms, if I pick up cricket, because Harsha is going to be here with us today in Spend Connect, we are all rounders. So we have demand coming in from all corners of the society, not only looking at small, medium enterprises or large enterprises, or for that matter PSUs, but I believe even charity organizations, they are reaching out to us, NGOs, they are reaching out to us. And I believe the phenomenon is becoming so big that SAP has come out with opportunities not only in the ISBN space but on the ERP side as well. For example, Grow with SAP. That's an offering on public cloud, and a lot of small medium enterprises are basically banking onto that. So if you look at it, I think around 60% of unicorns, unicorns now are using SAP system in the country. So I believe we are all there, and it's a product for everybody.
It's interesting that you mentioned unicorns and unicorns. They have global ambitions, and in trying for these global aspirations, there is also an increasing need felt by an increasing number of companies to be ESG compliant, especially those catering to some of the Western economies. I just want to get a sense in terms of solutions that you provide to companies in ensuring that their final service or product that they're offering is in fact ESG compliant.
So it's a very relevant question in today's world, and I think ESG is going to become one of the central themes, just like AI. When you're looking at a transformation. So in fact, I read it somewhere and it said, who's the largest polluter on the face of the earth? It's the supply chain people. We are the people who get products inside the company, and we are the people who finally get the final product outside of the company. In the entire process, we generate more carbon than probably anybody else. So what it means is we have the largest opportunity and the obligation and responsibility to ensure that we are taking care of this. And therefore SAP in its product is building that ESG layer. So before you even start working with an organization, or if you are working with an organization, how do you actually look at their scope 3 footprint? For that matters, just like I do my P&L with SEBI, BRSR has to be done now. So is there a BRSR report which I can generate out of the system? And since the obligation is on us, I believe business models are evolving faster than the technology as of today. So what we are essentially doing is we are having a very strong focus on ESG in terms of scope 3, managing that through the entire ISBN portfolio. Like if you travel, like I said, from Delhi to Mumbai, let's say today, if you have 5 flight options, what if I told you this is the carbon footprint across each flight? You might be happy to pay 500 rupees more, but pick up a flight which is generating lower carbon. And therefore, bit by bit, I believe each one of us as an individual or as an organization has to add to the ESG count of it. And from a technology perspective, we are helping our customers measure scope 3, or looking at not only your supplier but their supplier or their supplier. That's the nth level of visibility into supplier base to know if they are sustainable or not. So it's the entire value chain. It's not only about my organization.
My final question to you on the aspect of privacy. It was late last year that we had the DPDP Act being passed by the Parliament, and since then the industry has been waiting for guidance in terms of rules. The industry's call is give us rules, tell us how the government wants to implement the DPDP. I had the benefit of a conversation with Mr. Vaishnav himself earlier this week. What he's telling us is that it's just around the corner, the rules. From your perspective, what are the aspects that you'll be watching out for when the rules come into place? What are the key indicators that you'll have your eye on when the rules do finally come out?
So I believe we have been preparing at SAP for DPDP. Once it came into existence, and I believe that time itself, the SAP board decided to invest in India. And you probably would have seen in the news that we've already announced a data center for Intelligence Pen and Business Network. That's going to be available in Q4 of this year. So while we are prepared from a data residency standpoint already, like everybody else, we are also waiting on certain rules, and therefore we need to probably then localize these products as per the Indian flavor. And that's where the next wave of transformation for us in order to provide those solutions back to our customer is going to begin. So while we are going to be live on data center, we are going to be committed to our customers in India to give them data residency within the country itself. We are also going to be working on the product localization aspect of it.
Right, Mr. Narang, by all measure, it's a busy day and a busy year ahead of you. So much excitement, so much energy ahead. I'd like to thank you for taking our time on what is clearly a busy day and sharing time with us to explain what smart management looks like going forward. I'd like to thank you once again. It's been a pleasure.